everyone. It's your girls from Obscuration. Me, Tay, her, Dana. Look at me, 2 weeks in a row, I remember.
Yay!
And if you watch the promo, then you know from this beautifully done mask that I have from the Renaissance Fair that I went to this past summer.
Was that where you got it?
Yes, it is. So I'm showing it off because I think it cost me like $80, and there is like, it's a true, like, it's not actually from Venice, obviously, but it's a Venetian mask made to last an entire lifetime. Like, the warranty is lifetime and everything, including using the ties on it. So money well spent, along with my $90 dice that I bought made out of crystals, because that's the kind of nerd I am. So today we are doing mythical creatures. And obviously this works perfectly. And no, I will not be wearing this the entire episode, just for all of our listeners and viewers to know, because eventually this will annoy the hell out of me and I'll rip it off my face. And then I'm de-transforming from a werewolf. So neither one of us knows what the other one did, which makes me mildly excited. And also at the same time, I'm curious if we accidentally picked the same creatures. Like, I picked 3, and before we actually even get into it, I will show what actually inspired me with the thought of this episode was because I had watched, what's the name of the TV series? Castlevania. So there's a lot of vampiric-based things going on in my world. I'm like, oh, that was so good. I loved it. I want more. So I got this book, Vampire Universe, by Jonathan Mayberry. And it came out in 2006 was when this was published. So it's already almost 20 years old, which makes me want to cry a little bit, because when I got it, it was brand spanking new. It was fresh off the presses.
When you were, what, 11?
I was born in 92, so I would have been... Fuck, how old was I? No. 19, 93, 94, 95, 96. So I would have been 15? No, 14, sorry, I lied. 14. I can't do math. People know this. I can't do math at all.
What's my age again?
I hesitated like a week ago. One of my friends at work said something about my age, and I'm like, I'm 32? She just looked at me, she's like, really? You sound really certain about that. You don't know your age? I'm like, how often do I say my age? I don't know anymore.
Right?
It's not a simple little thing being like, oh, I'm 10. Like, no.
People say, what year were you born? They don't say, how old are you?
Yes.
What year were you born? Pharmacy. What year were you born?
I was just going to say that was the exact example I was going to go with, too, because I had to go pick up pharmacy stuff, and I had to know my date of birth and my mother's date of birth. I'm like, yeah, see, I know dates of birth. I don't know how much they add up to in years. It's like, Jesus.
See?
But, so, obviously, some of the stuff in this book, like, I'll preface all of it with saying, with it being 20 years out of date, there are some things that will have more information than what the book does. Some of it will be outdated, might be completely different meanings to it, all that kind of stuff. So I mostly base what I know out of this book. I did also look into some of the stuff secondary because I was curious to see what some of it said now versus what it said then. So yeah, so this is the book. And I highly recommend it because it's just a cute, like, it's like a little encyclopedia where you have, it's literally alphabetically done, and then it's the names of all the creatures, and it goes through, it tells you where they're from, what they are, all that fun stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I absolutely love it because it's a cute little thing, and I debate whether I want to make it my last creature that I tell you about or make it the first one that I tell you about. I'll probably make it the first one that I tell you about, just because then it'll explain this a little bit more. And also, it might horrify you, because my immediate thought as I was reading about it was, this would make an amazing big bad evil guy for Dungeons and Dragons, and you will...
You're an asshole!
Like, I don't even have words.
I don't know. We may be safe. Jeff can throw his ball bearings at it, so...
Twice. 2 fails. One of these times it's going to happen. Picks back up the ball bearings. So would you like to start us off, or do you want me to?
Well, let's do this first. So, mythical creatures. We got excited. Mythical creatures.
Yes, we did.
We both kind of live in a fairy tale land. Maybe not Mother Goose fairy tales, but fairy tale.
Yeah, I'd say more like think Brothers Grimm.
Yeah. So, when you say mythical creatures, people automatically assume the wrong thing. So I want to kind of set the record straight. So Webster's describes a mythical creature as a supernatural being or animal from stories or folklore, often possessing unique characteristics and abilities. They emerge from the classical eras and through collections of Greek mythology. So, that being said, there's this many mythical creatures out there in the world. Y'all don't want to listen to a 12-hour podcast.
And we still wouldn't be done them all. We would just, I was just going to say, we could do it for 12 hours every podcast for the next year, and we still wouldn't even have all of them done, but we'd have absolutely no voices for a week.
So, I'm just going to name off a few that I don't think either of us touched.
If you managed to pick out the 3 that I touch on, I would be completely flabberfucking-gasted. Because they're not even real, like, like, you'll understand when I say the words.
It would mean that we are truly friends.
Here's the list, son of a
No pressure. Okay.
Just like, yeah, that's totally on my list.
So, in my homework yesterday, I found a list of the 50 most popular mythical creatures. And I picked ones that I thought people would know if they heard them. So there is a Yeti.
Okay.
AKA Abominable Snowman. AKA Bigfoot.
Yes.
All 3 are lumped together. You hear people say, there's Bigfoot and then there's a Yeti. Yeah, no, they're the same. So, it originates from the legends and folklores of the Himalayan people.
Yes.
That I did not know. That surprised me. But then it makes sense. A Yeti, big, tall, furry, white fur.
I was just going to say that, yep. Blends in with snow much better that way.
Yeah. Dragons.
Ooh, I thought about doing that one too.
Dragons, and of course, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons has given us dragons, right?
Yes.
How to Train Your Dragon movies. Probably, dragons are probably the most studied.
Yes.
Woo. Woo. the most studied mythical creature in all of the mythical creatures. And that's because, let's face it, dragons are fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, you see a dragon, it's a winged, serpentine type, fire-breathing creature with a barbed tail. Can be found in multiple cultures. Ranging from China to, believe it or not, I think Wales was one that I was like, but then upon my research, when I looked up the flag for Wales, they actually have a dragon on their flag.
Yep.
I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to find all this shit out when I'm over there in a couple months.
And you're just like, I'm going to travel everywhere and I'm going to look at everyone's flags.
So, obviously, the dragon represents fierceness. Oh.
Rawr.
And, of course, the opposite end of the spectrum in Christian stories, the dragon is evil.
Which has never made sense to me. Like, you literally have... I was just going to say, Christians ruin everything. God! Not all Christians. Let me just make that so that you don't come at us. Not all Christians are bad, but a lot of them ruin things. God damn it.
The religion that can believe a book written by God. But dragons are evil.
Yep.
Okay. Gnomes was another one.
Ooh, that's a good choice too.
And again, a little surprise in my research. Your average variety garden gnome comes from English folklore. But in Ireland, they call them leprechauns.
I never made that connection before.
Me either.
I never even would have even, like, I would have said leprechauns is a completely different thing from gnomes.
Same.
Really? Oh.
Same.
Already learning. Look at us learn.
Look at us learning. Gnomes, they're foolish creatures that like to play tricks on people. Simple as that. They're not evil. They're not good. They just like to have fun. So that's a few of mythical creatures. Like, y'all have mermaid, unicorn.
Fun fact, the unicorn, if I remember correctly, is actually on the Scottish flag. Or not the Scottish flag, sorry, I lied. Is their national creature. Like how the loon is the Canadian.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The bald eagle is the American. The unicorn is the Scottish. I don't remember why. I remember looking it up, but I don't remember why it was.
Yeah, so that's just, an example of what a mythical creature is. Because honestly, if somebody had told me that a gnome was a mythical creature, I would have hollered bullshit. Because I don't think, when I think mythical creatures, I'm thinking in the grandioso of it, the dragons, But
I mean, you think about it, a lot of gnomes aren't used for a lot of mythical creatures. Like, I know they're mythical creatures, but when you think gnome, you think, like you said, garden gnome. They're put up, they have the red hats, they get dented
white
because
beard,
they're
blue
left
shirt.
out. Yep, exactly. One will have a green, one will have a blue, one will have a yellow. And that's what they are on your front lawn. That is what the gnome is. You don't think of it in terms of how disturbingly scary some of the stories can be about, oh yeah, this gnome came along and started biting at your ankles and just bit you until you died.
Unless you're in my garden, where my gnomes are zombie gnomes.
Forgot about that. You took the mythical creature and made them even worse. Do you fear gnomes? Fear zombie gnomes.
There is nothing normal about me. Nothing.
You're like, not a chance in hell.
So at this point, I will let you take over and you can tell me about what you found.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the last one first for me. So this is in the book, and anyone who's wondering, it's page 294 of the Vampire Universe book that I have. So it's called Vlodkolak, and it's actually the Serbian myth of werewolves. And the way that I phrased it, I love it because it's the Serbian myth of werewolves, but on crack. So most people think werewolf, and they go, okay, werewolf, you transform into a wolf-like creature. It's either you're a hybrid where you're half werewolf or you're half wolf, half man, and you're standing upright wandering around. Even in D&D, that's how it is. Or you turn yourself fully into a wolf, and that's how you go about life. Now, there's also, even in the book, it talks about berserkers and how in ancient Norse times they would wear the skins of the bear. Now, mind you, again, there's more research on this that actually breaks it down that berserkers were separate from the ones who would wear wolf skins, because each one of those was a different subsect of the warrior type. So they would take on the different features of each creature that they wore.
Just weird things happening on that side of the room.
The gnomes, they're coming for you.
My house is haunted.
They're like, pay attention to us, damn it. So throughout history, there's all different areas of different ways that you either become werewolves, are werewolves, all that kind of stuff. So now what makes this different? And when I first read it, I didn't know that it was actually the Serbian word.
Excuse me.
She's dying. I didn't know that it's
season.
Oh, fuck do I know? I didn't know that Vlodkolak, and I apologize ahead of time. I'm going to butcher these words because these are not English words. All of the ones that I picked, other than the first one is supposedly English, but I'd argue that one. They're all completely different languages. So bear with me, I'm sorry. I didn't know at the time that it was a werewolf until I Googled it to look up more information on it. And it brought me to the Serbian page, and I'm like, I need English. And it switched over and it said werewolf instead. I'm like, oh, I said I wasn't looking these up, and that's later on in the book under W. You bastards.
I need English.
But then, so what's interesting with this is that these Vlodkolak start off life as they're just a normal werewolf human. So they go, there's nothing supernatural about them other than the fact that they transform into a werewolf. They don't have superhuman strength, hearing, abilities, anything like that. So they just normally switch into werewolf form. However, when they die, they upgrade. So they go from being a werewolf human to being a vampire. I don't understand how the fuck this happened. But what happens is they die and they come back to life as they essentially, like, their skin tone is all wrong. They look like they're blood covered, and they stumble around like they're the city drunk. So they just go around.
Interesting.
And for 7 years solid, they go around drinking blood constantly. They have a constant hunger for it. They need to drain everyone they can of their blood for 7 solid years. Now, here's when the next transformation comes in. Because going from human werewolf, to undead vampire, to bloodlusting maniac, to then they transform again into a normal human being. And they get to live their life like a normal human being. They grow old, they can get sick, all these different things. And then, when they get old, they die of old age. And if they're not taken care of properly, they will go be buried in the ground, and they will be reborn once again as the Vlodkolak, the vampiric self, and they will come back and redo the cycle again of 7 years solid of lusting for blood, going around.
That's crazy.
Everyone. I was shocked when I read that. I'm like, this is so different than any other werewolf. And I mean, I told you, I did a speech, and I want to say grade 8. I did a speech that was dedicated just to lycanthropy. That was it. And I read dozens of different histories about it. This one never came up once, because this would have caught my attention too, going, excuse you? You don't think it's good enough that you're a human werewolf thing, and then you die? You then need to be like, oh, I'm going to come back as a vampire thing for 7 years. Then I'm going to live for eternity. So if the person's not killed the right way, this cycle can go on forever. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Really?
So the way that it works is that this is really, the way that they handle this is really weird. So to prevent such a cycle from continuing, the corpse must have its toes and thumbs cut off. Don't know why the toes and thumbs. Nothing said why the toes and thumbs, but the toes and thumbs need to be cut off, and a nail driven into its neck to cripple the disease. So that will stop it from continuing. Now, if you suspect that someone you know is a Vlodkolak, then the only way to actually kill one, and it just made me giggle, that's why I wrote this down specifically. The monster can only be killed by specifically a hawthorn branch piercing its navel, its belly button, guys. Like, it can only be piercing its navel, not its heart, which is what I find weird, because anything else in supernatural myths is normally, hey, you plunge a stake into the vampire's heart. And this is, no, you got to go for its belly button, which sucks because that's even smaller than a fucking heart by a long shot. And then, because that won't keep it killed, you have to light it with candles obtained from the deathbed vigil. Now, in the book, it just says a deathbed vigil. So long as there's a deathbed vigil going on, you go over and you're like, hey, I'm going to need to steal this candle. Go light it on fire. It'll burn down, and then it'll burn the body to ash.
It's kind of a lot.
Right? Like, I was like, this is in depth. This fucker's hard to kill. And my thought was like, Jesus Christ, who figured this out, or who came up with it? Like, what the fuckity? This is disturbing. And I have new fears now of being buried. Now, for anyone who's kind of thinking about it, like, I don't know if many of our listeners play games or not, but I'm assuming if you listen to us blither on a lot, you probably play video games. There is the world famous, world renowned video game of Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. And one of the characters' names in it is Kodlak. Now, the moment I read Kodlak, I instantly had that moment of being a geek going, what? That sounds just like his name, but with a V in front of it. So sure enough, I went and I Googled it. And then I promptly messaged my friend Alicia, because she's a huge anything made by Bethesda, and that bitch is on it. She dare for it. She's like, Fallout, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls in general, she dare. So she was like, I did a deep dive and I didn't know this. I'm like, this is actually what they base the character's name off of, is this werewolf, because in the game he is a werewolf who wants to no longer be a werewolf when he dies. And he doesn't want to come back, anything like that. So I found that interesting, because it shows that even in pop culture, like, even when you're not paying attention to it, for me, I notice things when playing video games like Skyrim. I knew immediately the Nords are obviously the Norse, because you can see Viking connections, all that fun stuff. The Empire in that is the Roman Empire in real life, like all the things, like you could see it. So when you get little pop culture references like that, I'm like, that is probably one of the most obscure references that only Serbians would be able to see and go, Podlak, hey, we have that here. Oh shit. And give you instant fear. Okay, now I can take this off. Now I'll hand it over to Dana so that she can pick.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I guess
or make comment.
Stephen King was kind of not telling the whole story when he wrote Silver Bullet. I still love you though.
You're like, there's more information to this. You need Hawthorne. You need everything.
Not just a silver bullet.
You're like, there's more to this than you let on.
Okay, so I only looked up two mythical creatures. And only because they are connected but not.
Ooh.
I know.
I'm so curious to know what it is that you picked.
And Taylor, I'm honestly shocked that you didn't automatically know I would jump right there. So my first creature is the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, well, yeah, that I figured you would. That was, so no word of a lie. Nessie is in here, by the way. As is a cousin of hers. How do you do the alphabet? LMNOPQJKL. Come on! Oh my god. Like, this tells you how big. Oh, I forgot about that picture. It also got some pretty great art. Wait, can you see it? Yes. artistry inside of this. Like, look how fucked up that is.
Oh,
It's a
that's
spirit that
nice.
eats children.
That'd make a great tattoo.
Right? That was my thought even when I saw it. I was like, "Ooh, yes, that is fantastic." What the hell is? Oh, I have it bookmarked. That would be why, I think. So continue on with your discussion of Nessie while I look for her cousin, because I was going to tell you about it, and now that you reminded me.
So the reason why I picked the Loch Ness Monster is because on June 25th, my husband, my son, and my favorite cousin Gladys and myself all head over to the UK to spend 10 glorious days in Scotland. Now, I think I've mentioned it numerous times before. I am of Scottish heritage. My grandfather. What? I know. My grandfather was born over there, came to Canada when he was 14 years old. So I grew up, and I haven't even told you this, Taylor. I grew up, well, till I was 15, because my papa died on my 15th birthday. Happy birthday.
I was like, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
But I grew up listening to stories of the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie, as they call.
Your papa was from Inverness, wasn't he?
Yes.
I was going to say.
Inverness, Scotland, also known as the capital of the Highlands, is literally, as the crow flies, 2 kilometers away from Loch Ness.
Which I was just going to say. Good.
Yeah. So my papa, in his 14 years of life before his parents threw him on the boat to come to Canada, he spent a lot of time in that area, fishing, swimming.
That's kind of ballsy. Like, I don't think I would want to swim in the area that I think the Loch Ness Monster is.
Now, say what you want, and you can make assumptions about my dead grandfather all you want. Dead grandfather. My papa told me he saw her. Him and his friends and his brother Alex were fishing, and they saw her. Don't ask me the year. My grandfather was born in 1902. So don't ask me the year. But to his dying days, he was adamant that he saw the Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, and from me being 6 years old to hearing it for the first time to almost 15, his story never wavered. It was always the exact same scenery, what his brother was wearing, what he was wearing, what they were using for bait. So you have to think that if somebody is handing you a crock of bullshit,
mm-hmm.
and they hand that crock of bullshit to you over time, you're going to notice inconsistencies.
Yes. Which,
inconsistencies.
I would say, and that to me is always the biggest giveaway, is when you have things. Okay, so the example I'm going to use is a timely one. Like, there's personal ones that Dana and I could use.
So many.
But the one I'm going to use is the example of, have you seen in the past, I think just this past week, there's yet more new scans of the fucking Titanic. Now,
no.
Don't get me wrong, people. I love knowing the stuff about it. Yes, it's cool. However, it was 110 years ago. I'm tired about hearing about the fucking Titanic. The new scans show nothing new or different. It just, as the one girl was continuously saying, it now confirms the eyewitness accounts of everything that happened. Now, to me, the eyewitness accounts were all the same. They never changed. There weren't people who wavered on things. Even as they got older, they were like, yes, this is how it happened. We heard it. This was the time it happened at. We knew. Everyone knew. Everyone took the eyewitness accounts as being true and accurate. And it
Right.
was because they don't change. It's a little side tangent just within that story. If I'm sick and tired of fucking Titanic stuff, scan the oceans for other things. We have
so much more out there.
we have so many things on the stupid Titanic. Yes, I love it. There's enough. There's enough. It's like that stupid video. That's enough cheese. It's enough cheese. It's enough cheese. Except in this case, it's enough about the fucking Titanic. Go try and find Amelia Earhart. Let's start scanning for her. Let's figure out for sure, hey, this is what happened. Like, supposedly we figured it out, and yet there was no real any coverage about it. Yet the stupid Titanic, oh, it's still going on. I no longer care. We have movies. We have 5 million documentaries about it. Everything that we found, even with the new scans, coincides with all of it.
Yeah. You're not going to find nothing down there anymore. Dead bodies, skeletons, if they're even still around.
They're still, I think some of them are still there, but I think some of them have disintegrated after being down there for so long. Between little fishies eating away at them. But you have those where you can tell, like, the people's stories didn't change.
Yeah.
So like, that to me has always been the telltale sign of proof and that it's true, compared to other people that I might know who constantly fucking change their story every time that you talk to them about, oh yeah, I had this going on, and then they go and talk to someone else and the story changes, and they talk to another person, the story changes, and they talk to another person, the story changes. And you just look at them and you're like, this is why no one can trust you, Betty Sue. You're a liar. Timmy dies, Betty Sue's a liar.
You and little Timmy need to get together.
Little Timmy's like, I don't want to be with the lying bitch.
Yeah, so like I said, for me, my grandfather's name was John Wood. Wood is a very common last name in Scotland. They're under the Royal Stuart tartan.
Oh, right, you're from the Stuart clan.
So back to Nessie. So my grandfather wasn't the only person that saw her. Just saying. So the first ever photograph of her, of Nessie, our beloved Loch Ness Monster, was taken December 6th, 1933.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think of the guy's name.
Can you remember his name? Oof.
Hugh Gray. Hugh Gray.
Sounds about right.
To this day, his photo has never been debunked. It has been scrutinized and under the microscope and ripped apart, and the layers were taken off, and nobody has been able to prove that in any way, shape, or form that was something different in the water. The photo was touched. I mean, well, fuck off, people. It was 1933. Do you think they knew how to fucking retouch photos back then?
I was just gonna say, you couldn't retouch shit back then.
Like, for fuck's sakes, they were taking pictures of people with dead bodies. Oh, little Timmy died. I put him in his good suit. We'll get a photo before we bury him.
Don't worry, he's gonna look so peaceful.
So, to this day, that photo has never been debunked, but others have. So a year later, there was another guy, Robert something or another. He tried to say he took a picture of the Loch Ness Monster, but of course, Unagi, they were smart enough to look into it, and actually what that dipshit had done was taken a toy submarine and taped a head on it and put it in the water, took the picture, blah, blah, blah. But it's obviously a fake. So officially, to date, there are over 1,100 sightings of Nessie on record. Believe it or not, for whatever reason, they have like a, if you report it, they have like a number you call. Hey man, I saw Nessie.
Yes,
and they record it. They record it because they keep track of how many times somebody has seen Nessie, and it's crazy. So I'm really hoping. So I've got 3 days in Inverness.
I would plant my ass on the shore, on the bank of it, and just be like, listen, you
I'm
come here.
I'm gonna take him like a camera too.
You're gonna be sitting on, come on, Nessie. You saw my papa. Let's go.
My papa saw you. Let's keep the family train rolling. So yeah, it's something that has intrigued me. There have been numerous trips with sonar and underwater cameras and scuba divers, and if you all out there don't know, Loch Ness is pitch fucking black.
Yep.
Like seriously, you jump in the water, you disappear. You go under, your friends don't know where you are. It is pitch fucking black. So to throw a scuba divers down there, but fuck that noise, because it would be my luck that Nessie would bite me, right? Sorry. Sneak up behind me, take a chunk out of my ass.
You know what? That'd be one hell of a story, though. Come back home, sit lopsided. What happened? That's from Loch Ness Monster. Nessie
my left
got me.
cheek is gone.
Don't worry, I'm famous now.
So yeah, there's been a lot of scientific outings and a lot of research done, and they haven't been able, like there's been absolutely no proof that she exists, but there's absolutely no proof she doesn't. So that puts her in the mythical creatures category.
Yep.
Which begs to ask, do you believe?
So for me personally, because I still remember in grade 3, if I remember right, it was Miss Hodag's class. I had to do a stupid fucking report on family heritage. I hated school growing up. I still, as an adult, I'm not fond of it. I like it more now because I can pick what I want to learn about. And if there's ever a class that has to do with mythology and stuff like that,
we're so in it.
Oh my God, like I would sign up with you for that in a fucking heartbeat, because that would be amazing. So I remember doing in grade 3, I did my family heritage, and it was my Scottish blood specifically, because that's what we knew the most about, because of my great grandfather Alexander had come over. His last
name wasn't Wood, was it?
No.
That would be fucking hilarious.
We're from the MacDonald tribe, so we're the royalty of the Highland clan kind of thing. But he came over, and that was the one that we knew about. Like my great grandma, so he was my papa's father. We knew more about him. We didn't know stuff about great grand, my papa's mother, because she was shipped over on, what was it? She was shipped over during the war. Her parents like tossed her onto a ship, and they were like, "Get out of here! You need to get out." And she was never able to find her way back. But she was like a really young kid at the time, so she doesn't know anything from her past other than she came over from England. That was it. So we don't know anything about that side of the family. I'd be curious about it, but there's no way outside of being able to say, hey, here's my DNA, I'm related to this woman. I don't even know her actual Evelyn. I think her name was Evelyn, because I think that's how some. I would say it sounds like a very good English name.
A proper English name.
Yes, proper. So when I did the stuff on the Scottish background, I did all the MacDonald, all that fun stuff. And I remember writing about the Loch Ness Monster because it fascinated the fuck out of me back then. But because you're also Scottish, it was honestly the reason why I had looked at it for 2 seconds and I thought, the chances of us overlapping for this are pretty high. So I'm going to go do other things. And so I opened it up to the page that has the little blurb on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's glimpses of, where is it? So glimpses of Nessie go as far back as 565 CE, so Common Era, for anyone who doesn't know, because we don't use Jesus anymore for it. So that is like 1,500 years we've been spotting Nessie in that loch. Now, in here, the most famous encounter, though, took place in 1933 when a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Spicer, saw the creature cross the road right in front of them. The creature had an animal carcass clutched in its jaws and paused to look at them before taking its meal and slipping back into the chilly waters of the loch. Which is what that caught my attention, because I'm like, oh, because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I saw 1933 in here, which correlates with yours. Your guy got a picture and has the only picture.
So let's play devil's advocate here. It could have been the Spicers went back to their little village. We're all like, the fucking creature crossed the fucking road, stared at us, and Mr. Gray said, I should get my camera.
It honestly could have. Like, that to me, and I'm a firm believer that, so I'm going to go back to your dragons comment now that I have my mask off and I can return back to it. So one of the guys at work and I have conversations about this, and he's like, look, you don't want to talk to me about not conspiracy theories, but essentially what conspiracy theories are in.
It's not Mark, is it?
No, God, okay. No. He's all of them.
I love Marky.
I'm gonna say nah, not him. He's Nicolicious. He and I have talked about it.
Oh, Nicolicious.
And he's like, okay. He looked at me the one day. He's like, okay, I see you. Let's talk about it. He was like, come here. I'm like, all right. Came over. I'm like, what's up? Like, so what kind of stuff you believe in then? I'm like, I don't know. Give me some options. He's like, so you believe that dragons were real? I'm like, yeah. And he looked at me and his eyes lit up and he like, I swear to God, if he could have been a standing boner, he would have been at that point. Because he instantly, you saw like the sparkle in his eyes as he looked at me and went, really?
Chest puffed out with a little bit of pride.
Oh, 100%. Suddenly he was just like, my work girlfriend is fantastic. And it's because, to me, like, he and I have had long conversations about numerous different mythical creatures where I said things like that make no sense to me when you have, like, if in today's day and age, like when we did the urban legends and you talked about the Slender Man,
mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me that obviously in today's day and age, people could say, oh yeah, we saw him. But we know, you said he came out in 2003 or 2013. I can't remember which, but somewhere in that.
2003.
2003. That's what I thought, but then I wasn't sure, so I gave myself a bubble. That people had said that, okay, yeah, they'd seen him. Now, it makes sense that anyone in the world could say that they'd seen him because it was made online. Everything was online. You now have access. I have access to Dana. We're not even in the same city district or anything like that. And we have access to each other now. So when people
volunteers tribute.
I volunteer!
We're not in the same district.
Can you tell I've recently read the new Hunger Games book? Which, if I remember one of these days, I'm going to do a book review of it because, oh my fuck, was it God? God? Oh my fuck, was it good? Or God, that works too.
It was godly.
But when you have the technology now that you have instantaneous connection, I don't believe it as easily when people say, oh yeah, well, we have this urban legend over here. Oh, well, we have the same thing over here. Because you have the instantaneous connection. You can Google things and look up things. Now, back in pre-internet times, there wasn't easy access to the Native American um, clans here, tribes here, to the Asiatic tribes over in the other parts of the world. Like, yes, obviously everything used to be connected at one point in time, millions or thousands, whichever it was. I can't remember when the land bridge finally disintegrated. But prior to that, like that kind of timeline, you don't have the easy connectability. So to me, I've always said, like, it only makes sense that all this stuff was real at one point in time. And with human hubris, like you look at the things, dire wolves died out, the dodo directly died out because of human interference. Um, the number of wolves almost completely died out because of human interference. So to me, it
Eagles.
makes exactly to me it makes perfect sense that all things used to be real at one point in time, and then human interference came along, and it either scared us, so we killed it all, or we hunted it to extinction. Like, was it the buffalo that the Americans hunted out within like a matter of a few years?
Hmm.
So you look at stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, you could easily, I can easily believe that yes, things like that did exist at one point in time, because this is where it is across the entire world. You have the Chinese dragons, you have Eastern European dragons, you have European dragons, you have, there's even versions of it in the Native American um, histories. They have their own. So you go anywhere, the Incan, you're going literally all over the world. So you can't tell me that these things didn't exist in some way, whether they were 100% what they look like in the artistry can obviously be up for debate, but I definitely think these things did exist, which is why, like, even for Nessie, I wouldn't be surprised if she's out there. She could be. I mean, look at fucking what is it? Greenland sharks that can live for the one stupidly old, like 150 years old currently.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of things that could be going around that could be that old or older and still hiding.
Yeah,
Like
for
if you
sure.
can't see shit in there, there's no reason you can't say,
Well,
"Hey, she's in there."
so you think about it, if you Google Earth Loch Ness, it's not a highly inhabited area.
Mm-mm.
Um you're not going to find sandy fucking beaches there, people. Like, you're not packing up a picnic saying to the kids, come on, lads and lasses, let's jump in the auto and head down to the loch for a sunny day at the beach. There's no beaches there. That water is like 4 fucking degrees
Yeah.
at all
No, thank you.
times.
I'm good. I'll stay on the land.
So, yeah, you think of it, like, if something was in there 500 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the chance of it still being in there is very good because it doesn't have Western civilization to fuck it up,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Well, when you think about it, a lot of our modern day superstitions actually come from Scotland. There are a lot of it, which surprised me back when I looked it up. I don't remember what did it. I looked up superstitions for some reason. And it was one of those things of a lot of the superstitions that we have, like don't walk under a ladder, don't open an umbrella in the house. If a black cat crosses your path, all these different ones actually originate back in Scotland. So when you think about it, a lot of Scottish people, and I've read it, that a lot of Scottish people are very open to what happens in the world because that's where the Fae come from, or so fairies for anyone who doesn't know. Which nicely leads me into the second creature that I looked into, and this one kind of makes me happy because I have a nice little unpopular culture in here that will call to you. So, and I'm going to butcher this name. I am sorry to all of the Welsh speaking people from Wales. I don't speak it, and there's a lot of in their language, which is very difficult to pronounce. So they're called, again, sorry, they're called Gwillians, or when it was showing me how to pronounce it, something like Gwillians, and it's on page 146 of the Vampire Universe. So it's an old hag fairy subclass, essentially, who leads travelers astray. Um, And it was that, or still is, that she will, if you're out traveling about in the mountains, she will, they can't actually speak like you and I can, but they can kind of cry out. And people have been said to think that it sounds like a, kind of like a deaf older woman, because they'll call out to her, they'll see the back of her, and they try to
Okay.
call out to her to try and say, "Hey, I'll come help you. Don't run away," kind of thing. And as they're following her, they will get lost in like marshy areas, wooded areas, or her favorite thing to do is walk you off a deadfall. So it'll be follow me, follow me, follow me. Oh, you walked off the edge. Oh, bye. So she has the thing for liking to kill.
She's got the murder gene.
Yeah. She's like, well, technically I didn't do it because I'm not actually pushing them off the ledge. They walked off the earth themselves.
They walked off of their own free will.
So some of the stuff that I found interesting about her in a disturbing way is that like so they're a lot of the times known as the old woman of the mountain is what it's referred to. So if you hear that while you're over there, fucking don't follow it. And she's been spotted in like multiple different areas such as Monmouthshire, Black Mountain in Brecconshire, and again, I'm gonna butcher this, Aberystwyth, something like that.
Okay.
The last one is actually a small town where she actually seeks shelter. So she's murderous and the people are afraid of her. However, it's apparently done that she will sneak into the house during the night, and it's just to seek shelter from either the rain, the cold, whatever it is, and she'll come just sit by your fireplace to stay warm. Now, most people would assume that, hey, this murderous woman of the mountains, old woman of the mountains, has broken into my house. I should probably just avoid her. But it's actually better custom to offer her drink and food or water. And the thing that you have to make sure that is not out are knives,
Oh.
because that's what scares her off. So if you're out in the woods, I guess what a lot of the Welsh people will do is actually have whittling knives with them, because that became the common practice of they will whittle things because then it keeps the knife constantly out, so it constantly keeps the old woman of the mountains at bay. So if you have it with you, you can pull it out and be like, "Yeah, come on, come at me, bitch, let's go," and it will make the fae immediately disappear, and you'll be safe. And then you'll come back to it, because the one account was of a guy who went and was following. He's from the area, followed her around, and for some reason hadn't thought, oh, hey, it could be the old woman of the mountain. I'm going to go try and help this old lady. And then got lost. And by the time that he realized he was lost, he was like, oh, shit. And like she had turned back to come at him. So he pulled out a knife and she was gone. That was that.
Ah.
And I was like, oh, I
Sneaky,
like this.
sneaky.
Right? So now in pop culture, weird. I didn't read the first pop culture reference, apparently. She's actually in a Barbie movie, which is weird to me. They
A
actually have
Barbie movie or the Barbie movie?
a Barbie movie, one of the animated ones, CGI back in 2013. Shockingly,
Oh.
she was the antagonist. Imagine that. She was in Barbie Mariposa and the Fairy Princesses. She was the
Okay.
vengeful old woman with little gray hair who attacked crystal fairies. Sounds about right. Now, here's the one that I think you'll be interested in. In the Lord of the Rings online video game, the culture of Dunland, sparsely described in J.R.R. Tolkien by him, is heavily based on Welsh mythology. Uh, Willian, also called the Old Woman of the Mountain, appears in Dunland or Dunlan not sure how he says it, as a secondary
Dornan.
antagonist, who is in an alliance with Saruman the White.
Bitch.
I was going to say, that was the part that literally, as I scrolled down to, I'm like, who cares about Paul? Oh, Dana will like that. It's like Lord of the Rings, I'm in.
Considering I just watched all 3 movies on Thursday.
Well, it was one of those things that I saw.
Extended editions.
Well, obviously extended editions. Which, as a side note to anyone who watches us, knows that it's going to be time for our next D&D session soon, which may or may not happen. We'll see what happens. We have things like I'm fully prepared for it. It's one of our players has had plans crop up, so I'll let the group decide whether or not they want to continue the next session without him, because we can do it that way, and just say that he stayed behind in the tavern. Or
yeah, because he has that impairment, doesn't he? Still.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because he's cursed. Sucker. Now, what I also didn't know before looking into the Gwillian is that I was going to do Will o' the Wisps.
Oh.
But I wasn't sure if you were going to do that one. So I was like, And I actually did some mild research into it, because when I say Will o' the Wisps, I instantly think of the little fiery fellas from Scottish folklore.
Mm-hmm.
And they lead you down a path, and that's what you do. I didn't know that that's not actually 100% what they are. I didn't know that when you say Will o' the Wisps, it refers to, like, it's an entire, that's the name of a category of spirits. I learned, because apparently Gwillian are related to Will o' the Wisp, because they will lead you off the path, the astray kind of thing. But Will o' the Wisp refers to, like, spirits and fae and light orbs and something else. And it's that when you put in Will o' the Wisps, it actually covers the entire world and explains all of these different phenomenons, which I was shocked about, because I was like, but I thought, I even Googled it afterwards. I'm like, are Will o' the Wisps not Scottish? They're like, oh yeah, that's one of the places. I'm like, excuse you?
Very prevalent in New England too.
Yes. So that's just a random little side note. Like, that's like your dragons and everything else, where I'm like, oh, I looked into it, but had I wanted to dedicate the time to that, I would have had to read about 5 million different pages. So I was like, I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to stick with the Gwillian, and then add another one on top of that. So that was just a little, that's like the old, now you know, headline that we used to see, because learning is power. So what was your next one that you looked up?
So my next one brings us back to our fine country of Canada. And this is where it correlates with Loch Ness Monster. Canada has their very own lake monster, better known as Ogopogo.
Yes.
Right?
I was to say, I've heard of that one before.
So Ogopogo is a mythical creature, lake creature, that lives in the Okanagan Lake in British Columbia.
Anyone who's wondering, this is how you spell it. It's why.
Oh, it has the indigenous way to say it.
Yes.
Okay, don't do it yet.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah. So it's described as a serpentine creature with a long body and humped back. Reports say 5 humps, but who's to say, right?
I mean, could literally just be coming up one hump, but we're like 1, 2,
3, 4, 5. Now, the cultural significance is where my research got, I want to say, fun.
Ooh.
Because in indigenous culture, the Ogopogo is believed to be a spirit, a sacred water being, and protector of the water. Now, indigenous people do prefer that you say it by its indigenous name. It's not going to happen for me. I am not butchering that word. That is not respectful to the indigenous culture. If Taylor thinks she can try to say it because it is broken down in her book, by all means, go for it.
It actually, I don't know if it's supposed to be broken down like that, but it looks like it's Naha Itik, maybe?
Yeah,
I think Itik.
that sounds about right. From the way it was spelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wants to see how it looks, 1 second. Let me. Right there. So it has the how we all say it in English, and then the Naha Itik. So and then
the
obviously
demon.
It's called the lake demon.
So that's indigenous culture, sees it as a protector of the water, blah, blah, blah. Western culture, big scary creature.
Yep, I was going to say, that sounds about right.
Western people are so boring. So, got quite the history. First sighting was in 1872.
Really?
By a white settler who was the first non-native person to live in that region. And her name was Susan Allison.
Oh, it was a woman.
It was a woman.
I'm surprised.
She was the first non-native to see Ogopogo.
That's actually interesting. Just because you would assume that, especially given how history writes itself in those eras, you would have thought that it would have been a white man who would have seen it over a white woman.
Yeah, because back then I'm sure they wouldn't have given a woman credit for anything other than making a good dinner.
Even then, that would be kind of questionable.
It's true. So that was the earliest. And then after that, there wasn't a whole lot of documentation until 1968. And in 1968, while driving down Highway 97, and any of you that live in British Columbia know where Highway 97 is, I hope it's still called Highway 97. A man named Art Folden saw something in the water, saw it moving in the water, so he pulled his car over, popped out his handy-dandy family camera, and he took footage of Ogo.
All of the humps?
Across the water. Nobody ever tried to debunk that video. And I don't know if it was because it was 1968, probably on Super 8, but it was never debunked. It was just like, holy shit, there's a picture of that indigenous sea creature in the Okanagan Lake. 1968 to 2005 is when the next big thing happened, and that was the National Geographic Channel. So Nat Geo had a show called Is It Real?
I remember that.
Yeah, they sent a bunch of surveyors out to the Okanagan Lake. They wanted to actually, when looking at Folden's video, they wanted to recreate it from where he said he was standing to where the creature was, offshore, blah, 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 right? So they sent survey boats out to do the actual distance. Unfortunately, it was found that what he said was how far the creature was away was not true. It was a little bit closer. So that resulted in a reduction of the size of the creature and how fast it was moving. But they never said it wasn't a creature. So, 1980, whoo, the 80s. Tourists. The tourist, what do you call them? Where if you've never been to that area before, you can go to this little hut and they give you all the information. Tourist bureaus.
The
tourist
the front
info.
desk. Yeah, tourist info. Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, they offered a cash reward for a legitimate sighting of Ogopogo.
Oh.
Greenpeace jumped in. God love you, Greenpeace. Greenpeace jumps in and says, whoa. Just a picture. Do not capture it. Ogopogo is an endangered species. Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah, God, that's what it is. God bless Greenpeace. We're going to take a mythical creature and put it on the endangered species list just so you can't capture it.
I mean, it's a smart way to do it because, look at how dumb people are. Good example would be look at the Jaws movie with the shark. So, oh, yeah, there's a shark in the water. They go out murdering all of the sharks and then endangering the rest of that, where you're like, okay, this is why we can't have nice things. You know what? Ogopogo he's almost extinct. You can't touch him.
So, it was recorded that there were about 50 tourists on the beach area for the Okanagan Lake that watched Ogopogo for about 45 minutes.
Damn.
This was in Kelowna. Larry Thal captured 10 seconds of said humps going through the water on his Super 8 film. And this is where I love skeptics. They said it was a pair of otters. How big your fucking otters getting out there in BC? What you all feeding them? That they would be mistaken for 40-foot sea serpents.
How?
It was the 80s, so it had to have been drugs of some sort.
It would have to be, because my thought is, okay, number one, it's supposed to be 5 humps. You said it's 2 otters. That would only account for 2 humps. And they would have to be riding one directly behind the other.
Unless that otter is very pliable and can make a few more humps in the water with its body. But I'm not sure that can happen.
I mean, I'm with you. You would have to feed them otters some questionable food at that point in time. Be like, hey.
Steroids, anyone?
I don't even know if steroids should be the right one, because you'd need them to elongate, not muscle up. So what would you even feed the otters?
So we get to 1989. John Kirk allegedly saw Ogopogo bouncing in the water. He estimated it to be about 35 to 40 feet long. 5 sleek jet black humps and a lashing tail.
Ooh.
Traveling over 25 miles per hour.
Fuck, that's fast.
On July 24th of 1992, Paul Derea videotaped something that was traveling just below the surface at an estimated speed of 5 miles per hour, and it turned out to be a log.
It turned out to be a log.
I don't know if for our American friends out there and our otherly worldly friends that don't know much about the BC Kelowna area, it's a very, very high logging area. So the chances of a log being in the water, very high.
I was just saying, look at that picture you got of that log. I'm so proud of you.
So, in 2000, Japan decided to jump into the fun.
Well, why not?
And again, that caught me off guard because there was never any mention of any expeditions for Nessie outside of the UK or North America that went looking for her. But Canada, we get Japan. The Japanese expedition came over, and they caught a 40-foot sonar image of an object under the water, about 7 meters under the water. But they also discovered caves.
Oh, that adds a new level.
Yes. They came back in 2001, but the sonar that they got was inconclusive. They came back in 2006, where they found yet more caves. So apparently there is like a whole system of caves under the Okanagan Lake, which is noggy.
I was going to say that, I mean,
now,
that to me leads so many more questions.
The Okanagan Lake is freshwater. Do you know how many people? It's not even funny.
Oh, God.
The stupidity.
Oh, God.
Do you know how many people said that Ogopogo was a killer whale that swam through the caves? From the saltwater ocean into the freshwater lake. You can't make stupid up.
But okay, it still comes back to the same issue of 5 humps. 5.
You know, maybe it had 4 babies with it. I don't know.
I was going to say it would have to keep swimming back in. Come on, guys, we got to make it look good. And how would it hide its fin? It's got a gigantic dorsal fin.
I don't know. But these are, so your skeptics, they're going to have a reason for everything for it to not be what you think it is, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
So in August of 2008, probably one of the best Ogopogo proofs out there, a local photographer named Sean Villora and his girlfriend Jessica were sitting by the shores of Peachland Beach when Sean noticed a disturbance in the water. He grabbed his camera and he snapped one pic and one pic only, because then his camera died.
Oh, that sounds about right.
I've been there.
Yeah, you're going to make sure it's fully charged, has lots of room on yours before you go to Loch Ness.
But he did describe the creature as being black with hump-like ridges. 8 days later, he cannot rest. He takes his camera and he goes back. Now, he did not publicize the first photo. He just said he got it. He didn't publicize it because he only had the one.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 days later, he went back and he snapped 11 photos of an unknown object as it surfaced near a boat. 3 to 4 photos were made public, and they show a tail, a neck-like object surfacing. Others show the back of a head or the creature estimated to be 18 to 20 feet long. Going by the size of the boat in the photo to... The photos were examined by local experts. Chris Bell concluded that it did not look like a known animal within the lake. Thanks, Einstein.
I was going to say, gee, I'm so shocked.
if Ogopogo was a known animal, we wouldn't be talking about it right now. So yeah, he claimed that it did not look like a known animal. There was no evidence of tampering on the photos at all. So, to date, 2008 August, best amount of evidence that they have. 2011, and you would think by this time, shit's getting better, right?
Well,
For recording. For 2000,
shit's getting better. You have so many things, and I will add an amendment just because I did Google it just out of curiosity because I was curious of whether or not orcas can swim in fresh water. They can. So they can actually, it's not as common because you just find them out in the saltwater areas, but they
right.
have been seen swimming in freshwater rivers. I'm assuming probably to get from one salty area to another.
Point A to
But
point B. But I don't think that they could spend extended periods of time in non-salty water.
I was going to say, my thought would be that not only that, like, I don't know how long they can last through without it, because I mean, that would be questionable to me because they are predominantly in the saltwater areas. So I don't know if it'd be healthy for them to be in it. But then also, my other point of fact and curiosity is you have a creature that needs to breathe air. So one of the signifying things of porpoises in general is that they have the blowhole on top of the head and they have to surface. Like, they can, I mean, don't get me wrong, they can hold their breath for a long time, but they still got to come up and go.
but not long enough to go from the ocean through the caves into fresh water to come up in the Okanagan Lake.
Well, that's my thought, is that it's like, okay, in order to get from sea area to freshwater area, even with knowing, like, yes, obviously they'd be imprinted in the brain. This is no different than elephants, how to get from point A to point B. There's still so many things in the way of, hey, you would know it was an orca because it would have to breach the water and breathe regularly, because then they have to go back down. Like, there it would be instantaneous. Like, you would know instantaneous and be like, okay, yeah, that's an orca, or, oh, hey, that's an orca's penis. Like, you would know. That's what a lot of the supposed myths are, is that, oh, it was just a whale penis that came up, and fishermen were like, oh, it's a sea serpent. Like, okay. That's weirdly why.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're not used to seeing something that big.
Yeah, there's like, my little Tic Tac can't compare to that. What the?
So, in 2011, like I said, 2011, we had some pretty good fucking cell phones out there.
Yeah, we started getting the good stuff.
So in 2011, some cell phone footage was taken of Ogopogo bopping along in Lake Okanagan. But it was grainy and dark, and they couldn't make it out. So nobody can say yes or no to whether or not it was true. In 2018, there were 3 sightings. One sighting that just described a long snake-like creature, approximately 45 to 50 feet long. Mm. In June of 2024, so not even a year ago.
I was just going to say, that's recent.
Was the last reported sighting of a giant snake in the water. Do you believe that Ogopogo exists?
See, to me, again, it makes sense that it would, and you have so many sightings, and especially with the finding from the Japanese exploration of finding all of those tunnels, which, just to add another layer to the disapproval of it being a fucking orca, because it angers me. So, number one, The maximum amount of time an orca can hold their breath for is 15 minutes. However, their average breath holding time is typically shorter, with them surfacing every 3 to 5 minutes while traveling. The poor thing would die before it ever got to the damn freshwater lake area.
Oh my God.
It obviously can't be an orca, can't be a whale. Like, obviously it's not going to be some gigantic whale we would have fucking known by now. So just fuck those people who said, "Oh yeah, it's a killer whale." No, it's not. Obviously.
Otters. Otters.
At least the otters make a little more sense where you're like, okay, at least that would explain 2 humps in the water. That's slightly more realistic than saying, "Oh, it's a whale."
Yeah.
What?
So, Kelowna, BC, they have a little Ogopogo statue in one of their parks by the Okanagan Lake, and it's adorable. It really is. The community has embraced having that, which I'm sure I'm going to find out in Inverness that Nessie is right in your face when you're there, right? They've embraced Ogopogo, and there's the T-shirts and the fridge magnets and everything, and so I mean, it's for the community. It's a nice little revenue generator,
God,
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a sucker. I would be that one person that would be there, like, oh, I need a T-shirt or a hoodie.
Like, come on, gimme.
And yeah, when I come back from Scotland, my first podcast, I'll have my Nessie hoodie on.
So we're sitting there going, "Look how cute it is." Pull down the flap; it's probably a Nessie head.
So yeah, I want to believe that she's out there. That Ogopogo is out there. See, the thing with the Loch Ness and Ogopogo, and believe me, they're not the only two.
Oh God, no.
There's even ones in Ontario, and if I try to list every fucking lake monster between Canada and the UK, again, this would be part 1 of 100.
Yep.
The one thing that was interesting in my research, and I don't remember the name of the dinosaur, but there was an aquatic meat-eating dinosaur.
I was just going to say the guy with the swimmy part. Yes.
Absolutely resembles what Nessie would be. Ogopogo, the same.
Yep.
The humps, the long craned neck. So if a bird can be a descendant of a dinosaur, if an alligator can be a descendant of a dinosaur, why can't a dinosaur still be around? Or not so much a dinosaur, but maybe a descendant of that is an undiscovered species. Like, you'd be stupid to think that everything on the world had already been discovered, right?
Well, they already say that we don't know. Like, we've only explored, I want to say it's 1% or 2%
of the world's oceans. Yeah.
Like the amount of places that we don't know about things and we don't see things. We can't get down to the deepest depths of the ocean. We can't even see we'll use Loch Ness as an example. We can't see in that fucking thing. It's too dark. So you can't tell me that they couldn't easily swim in and out of it. What if there's more caves in there that the sonar can't yet penetrate because it's just not strong enough? I mean, fuck's sakes, we have things that can't penetrate house walls because they're too thick. So
exactly.
To me, and it's funny because Nicolicious and I had talked about the dinosaur aspect, and he was like, "Do you believe in them?" Like, well, yeah, I believe. Like, we have the skeletons to prove. He's like, I don't think they were as far back as they say they were, though. And he's like, I think that's why there's the sightings of uh, dragons and stuff like that. He's like, I don't think the T-Rex really look like that. I think the T-Rex is actually what we think they drew as dragons. I'm like, I kind of tend to towards believe some of that because it does make logical sense when you connect one dot to another. It does actually make sense that you're like, hey, the T-Rex doesn't look like, it doesn't make sense that this apex predator had teeny tiny little arms like this. And yet when you compare it to the bird skeleton, an ostrich specifically, which would be a descendant of it, has the exact same thing, but actually has gigantic wings on its side. So it makes more sense. And they're starting to come, obviously, as technology has gotten better, they're now realizing, oh, dinosaurs look nothing like what they did in Jurassic Park because they had used the technology of, hey, we have the bones, we don't know what their muscles look like. And I only just recently learned this, I didn't know, but it was a thing back in the day when they didn't know what the muscle shaping looked like on animals, that they would just put skin over the bones and just assume that that's what it looked like. So they actually have pictures from back in the day of what I think it was like what rhinoceros looked like drawn out if you just had the skin over it, and it was creepy as fuck. God,
No
was it
doubt.
unsettling. Ooh, it was disturbing compared to when you look at what a rhino looks like now, and you're like, okay, the two outside of the horn on its face look completely different. And the guys are saying like, hey, this is what dinosaurs are like. The people back in the 90s when they discovered all of it were like, hey, this is what we think it looks like. Turns out we were wrong. And now there's feathers on them, there's wings on the things that they're supposed to do, all that kind of stuff that make far more sense for it. So I can see where people are like, okay, this is where they think dragons came from. This is where they think a bunch of different things came from. And like you said, Nessie and Ogopogo, or
Ogopogo.
Excuse me, descend from is because, hey, they were, back in the day, it was a aquatic dinosaur. Now their descendants live in these watery places. I mean, hell, it could hide for an entire lifetime down in those damn tunnels. You're never going to find it.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, it's fascinatingly interesting to me. But I do believe that
Yes,
they both exist.
I agree with that completely. And to finish off the episode, I'll finish off with the first one that I looked up because it'll be the quickest one out of all of them. And it was called the Hodag, which is on page 152 of the Vampire Universe.
Hodag to you too.
Hodag. So apparently it has an atrocious stench to it. Like it's rotten, wretched meat, rancid meat mixed with skunk spray. Yeah, that was my thought too.
I'm so hungry for lunch now.
That sounds delicious. So apparently it had like a minotaur or minotaur like appearance. However, in a weird way. So like the minotaur was more like a bull head face kind of thing going on. This instead had the bull head but a man's face on it. Short, stubby little legs that came to claws at the end. So really freaking weird looking. So supposedly in 1883, Eugene Shepard took some friends out hunting for the creature, but they ended up having to hide in a cave. Now, when they hid in a cave, supposedly, they soaked a rag in chloroform, tied it on the end of a stick, and shoved it out the little hole. And the creature came along it and breathed it in and then passed out. So then they came out of the cave, they put on face masks and all that stuff because they were like, oh my God, it stinks so bad kind of thing. They took one picture of it and then we're supposed to be hauling it back to town, but something something happened supposedly, and didn't end up making it
woke
back.
up.
That would be my assumption. So this became big news back in 1883. The guy got famous for it. The local newspaper got wind of it. They talked about it, all that stuff. He was making like money hand over fist kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden it went from just that to statewide to then it become nationwide. Now, when it became nationwide, it was debunked as a hoax because he had to come out and admit that he was like, oh, I didn't actually catch it. I don't have a picture of it because he only took the one and then it burned miraculously.
Imagine that.
Yep. So then it just disappeared. But what I find interesting is that it's in the areas of West Virginia, Wisconsin, and other neighboring states. So according to, again, this is all based on what the book had to say, and even some of the stuff online agreed with it. But I'd be curious in one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I want it to be real because this thing sounds disgusting. Like, it doesn't even sound scary. It sounds like it's going to make me vomit profusely. Like, it's just gross. Just gross.
Right.
So I think you touched on it perfectly with the last one, where I'm curious about, like, the people that are out there. There's always going to be people who say, no, none of it exists. It's obviously just, it's seaweed. It's seaweed on a log.
You have no idea how badly. Like, I mean, I would sell my soul to Satan himself if that fucking Loch Ness monster would surface in front of my husband. Although I'm still positive he'd say it wasn't real.
I feel like, that is 100% accurate. He'd be looking at it. It could lick him in the face, and he'd still be like, I don't know.
You know how people use the phrase doubting Thomas?
Yes.
It should be doubting Norm. Sorry,
Thomas,
honey, I know you're going to listen. I love you.
It's so true, though. Like, he's the perfect example that we have for he will not believe, he won't believe, and never will he believe.
Yeah.
So we're just going to sit there and we're like, yep, we do have these options, but nope. Sitting there licking him in the face, he's still going like, I don't know, this could be a puppy. It's just got a lot of seaweed on it.
Oh, dear.
So I'd say anyone who gives this a listen, give your comments or give your thoughts about what you feel about these kind of myths and things. Do you believe them? Do you think there's connections between maybe a myth versus, hey, this is what we've actually found out it is in the modern day?
And go on Spotify. If you don't listen to us on Spotify, go on Spotify, because I will put a poll.
Ooh.
After we post the episode, so you'll be able to watch/listen to the episode, and you can answer the poll, and you can let us know what you all think.
Oh, I didn't even know we could do polls. That's kind of cool.
Oh.
We're learning. So yeah, so I'm curious.
Fun.
And if you have any suggestions of, like, hey, maybe there's mythical creatures in your areas, or ones that you're like, hey, you should really look into this, send it on over. I would love to learn more.
Or even folklore.
Yes.
Like if you have a piece of folklore that you'd like us to investigate. Now I feel like we're becoming investigative journalists.
From the comfort of our own home, like, especially considering, like, look, this is a decent thickness for a book, all based on just mythology. Like, I have a lot to pick from, and just be able to look up. Like, there wasn't one creature that we talked about today that wasn't already in here, that I was able literally to flip through and go like, okay, we have. So we'll definitely be doing more on this kind of stuff in the future too, just because that book is thick. So I got lots of things to be able to, like, okay, guys.
Oh yeah, like I said, there's so many more out there that we could talk about too.
Well, and I love the fact that neither one of us actually did the commonplace things. without even knowing that we didn't do the commonplace things for each other.
Oh,
we
like
didn't.
vampires and whatnot?
Yep. I say, like, we didn't go with the, like you said last night, vampires, werewolves, and unicorns. Those are the first things, like, when people think about mythological creatures, they're like, oh, look, it's a vampire. Oh, look, it's a werewolf. Oh, look, it's a unicorn. We're like, bitch, please. However,
Yeah.
I'll probably do unicorns in the future just because most people think unicorn frolicking through the bushes.
Mean.
I was just gonna say that exactly. Like, you think
if
of
the
these,
history is correct, they're bitches.
yeah, like these things are fucked up and they're evil. They are not nice in any way, shape, or form, and they will eat you. Like, the one myth I remember reading about them was that they tear you from limb to limb. It's like,
They
oh,
gore
okay,
you and then they rip you apart.
yeah. It's like, okay, that is very different from the, oh, hey, let's go on a pony ride. Like, but yes,
exactly.
So I enjoyed this topic just because it was fun to actually look through my book that I've had for almost 20 years now. Jesus. And then get to look up some of the stuff, like compare it from what it was then to what we now have access to now. So it was a lot of fun for me, and we'll definitely do some more of it just because it is so much fun.
Absolutely.
Now, we will be back again next week, and so long as we actually stick to it, we'll be recording on Thursday morning before I go to work. And then it should be up Sunday for everyone to listen to on Easter, because we will be doing an Easter, as anyone will know as soon as I'm saying this, we'll be doing an Easter-centric episode. However, it won't be the Christian version of it.
Oh, I can't wait to delve into how we went from Christ rising to the chocolate bunny.
Dana's already like, I am ready.
I'm like literally foaming at the mouth for this one.
The moment that I said it to her, she's like, so yeah,
salivating like a fat kid in a candy store.
Candy.
So yes. Do another candy board for Saturday night.
Oh, fuck yes.
I'll hit up the dollar store.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. So on that note, we bid you all a fond farewell. And we'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
Answer our questions. Do you believe?
Yes.
And have a wonderful week, everybody.
Ciao, guys.